Welcome to Ayurveda and Spirituality with your host, Alakananda Ma, a renowned Ayurvedic expert and a graduate of a top London medical school. She is the principal of Alundi Ayurveda Gurukula, a unique apprenticeship-style school in Boulder, Colorado. She is a spiritual mother, teacher, flower essence maker, and storyteller. Join us as we uncover the timeless principles of Ayurveda, discover practical tips for enhancing vitality, and explore the deeper dimensions of spirituality that intertwine with the ancient science of life.
Namaste. Today we're going to talk about working with anger. Anger, deep-seated, unresolved anger especially, is something that affects a lot of my patients and something that we can pick up in the pulse. Anger does relate to the liver, the negative emotion or klesha, neurotic emotion associated with the liver is anger. And the virtue here is kindness, being kind to yourself. So, according to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, we don't want to work with anger with methods like primal scream therapy, catharsis, and so on. Neurons that fire together, wire together. So we don't want to act out having rages and getting really, really angry because it just reinforces those anger pathways. Neurons that fire together, wire together. But we also don't want to be suppressing or repressing our anger. Repressing or suppressing our anger will in the end result in having an anger outburst. You sit on it, you sit on it, you sit on it, and then bam! Ah! You don't want to do that. So, how do we work with anger? In the Buddhist teachings, there are three vehicles. The Hinayana, sometimes called the small vehicle, it's also the very precise vehicle. The Mahayana, the great vehicle, the big vehicle, the wide vehicle, and then the Vajrayana, the diamond vehicle. So we can work with anger in the context of each of these three vehicles. In terms of the Hinayana, the extremely precise vehicle, we work with anger using our awareness. So, in an ideal world, if you feel anger coming on, stop, sit, take time with the anger. I have to say, there's been many a time I've been so angry, and I think I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to meditate with this anger. And I sit down and poof, what was that? Because nothing stays forever. In fact, nothing is permanent at all. We're going to use our subtle senses to see, smell, touch, and taste the emotion of anger. We're going to take some time to be aware of the anger. What does the anger look like? We often say red, red with rage. We see the colors red and black. And that can be how anger looks to us if we look at our anger. Uh, what does the anger smell like? Well, we talked about the liver, and along with the liver goes the gallbladder. And anger is acrid. It smells like gall. It's acrid. sharp and bitter. So that's the subtle smell of our anger. What is the subtle taste of our anger? Does it taste yummy? It tastes hot, sour, bitter, pungent. So see the anger, see how red and black it is. Smell the anger, touch the anger. It's hot, it's sharp, maybe prickly or spiky. It might be like trying to pet a porcupine. It might be like trying to grasp a sparkler. Touch the anger, taste the anger, the sour, hot, bitter, pungent taste of the anger. As you touch that anger, reach that anger with your subtle senses, taste it with your mind. Now digest that anger. So at this level, it's all about being aware of the actual anger. It's not about what the anger's about, why we're angry. It's not about the story that goes with the anger. The story that goes with the anger, we have to be able to let go of that story because that story helps us to perpetuate the anger in order that we can have a feeling that we are truly existent. But the reality is neither you nor anything else in this phenomenal world is truly existent. It appears, yet it is empty. It is empty, yet it appears. That applies to everything in the entire phenomenal world, including it applies to yourself. So the anger, it's it's giving you a feeling of being real. And this can get a lot worse if it's righteous anger, if it's indignation, indignation about how badly you've been treated, indignation about how badly someone close to you has been treated, indignation about how your group, your race, your fellow nationals have been treated, indignation about some cause you care about. We want to avoid getting off on that righteous indignation because it gives us, again, a sense of being truly existent. And whereas if we're just angry, if we're just pissed, we kind of know that's a bad thing and that we ought to get over it. But if we're having righteous indignation, we can perpetuate that on, and we can feel more and more and more truly existent. That is not the way we want to work with the indignation. So at this level, at the Hinayana level, where we are practicing awareness of the anger, we have to drop the story about the anger. It's just similar to how in Hinayana practice, if you eat with awareness, this really annoys me. It's not about how good the food tastes. As a cook, I want you to notice the flavors and how good the food tastes. But if you're actually eating with awareness, the point is be aware of the fact that you are tasting, not whether the cook did a good job or a bad job. Grr. Unfortunately, this is how it goes. So with the anger, It's not about what the anger's about. It's not about ruminating about the anger, getting into the story of the anger, thinking of all the ways that we could argue back or fight back or what we're going to do about the problem. It's simply about seeing, smelling, touching, tasting the anger, becoming aware of the anger. And like I say, you might not get as much time as you think to do this because nothing lasts forever. I'm going to sit and meditate on my very important anger. Oh, wow, I just got very, very sleepy. And where was that anger? That's long gone. But the point with the awareness of the anger is that any emotion, if we just allow it to flower, neither indulging it by getting angry, neither suppressing, repressing, judging, having shame about it, simply looking, allowing it to flower, it will spontaneously self-liberate. The emotions are not separate from the mind. But the emotions, the kleshas, the neurotic emotions, are empty of any real essence. Anger is perfectly pure. Why? Because it's simply emptiness, which is perfectly pure. Now, in this context of being aware about our anger, let's clear up something very, very important. It never helps to get angry at someone. When we speak out of anger, when we yell, when you yell, someone's going to stop their ears. When you speak out of anger, you aren't going to get heard, nor can you hear the other person. Getting angry at someone is not how we can solve any problem. However, the anger carries a message. So first of all, we want to just be aware of our anger, not getting into the story about the anger. Then when the anger no longer has us, is no longer grabbing us, we can reflect. Anger is the cry of our unmet needs. Anger is the cry of our unmet needs. And some teachers say that this particularly applies to woman's anger. Some teachers believe that woman anger is something very particular that has to do with thousands of years of oppression. This applies to woman anger. Maybe it also applies to black anger or colonized people anger. It's the anger is driven by, it can be a transpersonal anger that's driven by centuries, millennia of oppression. And so once we've allowed ourselves to be aware of the anger, let it arise, flower, pass away, self-liberate, then we can reflect on what is the unmet need. And here we really look into the teachings of NBC, nonviolent communications, also sometimes called compassionate communications. I have had patients say to me, but I'm not violent. It's kind of a bad word, nonviolent communications, but it refers to ahimsa, which is love, harmlessness, nonviolence. So on this level, we want to think about universal needs. A need is different from a strategy. It's not like I'm angry because I need to get paid more, or I'm angry because I need for you to put your dirty socks in the right place. Or that's not a need. That's a story or a strategy. A need is a universal need, like justice or recognition or tranquility or honesty. It's an abstract noun, actually, all of these universal needs. And our anger is always the cry of one of those needs going unmet. And once we've identified what is the unmet need, then we can think about what strategy would help us to meet our need and what could we request from the person we were angry at. What can we negotiate with them in the hopes of meeting that need? How can we negotiate? So this is something that took me many, many years of my life to learn, and that is using both prajna and upaya. Prajna, here we're observing, we're understanding, we're discriminating. We're practicing watching our emotions so that they liberate. What I had to learn over my life is that I need to pair that prajna with upaya. Otherwise, I get angry about something. Let's say I used to get angry about something. Anger is something you ultimately grow out of, not just with the process of time, but with the process of time and practice. You do grow out of it. But I had to learn it's not enough that I sit and I allow my anger to arise, flower, and pass away. I also need upaya. I also need the skillful means to respond to the unmet need of which the anger was a messenger. On this level, I need to make a plan. What was the feeling? Okay, the feeling was anger. What is the associated need? A universal need. Maybe I need rest, respite, appreciation, consideration, understanding, honesty, shared reality. There is some need that underlies my anger. What request would I make of the person that I was getting angry at? And remember, anger tells us about something. It's not always about a present time thing. Anger tells us about something that needs attention. It might be a present time thing that we actually need to address with the person we were in our mind directing the anger towards. But it might be about a past thing. It might be about something that happened to us a long while ago. So sometimes I've had to tell myself, hey, it's not this person's fault that the kids were mean to me when I was 8. It's not this person's fault that I was bullied. It's not this person's fault that that thing happened a long while ago. Let's give some love and kindness. Let me give some love and kindness to little Livy. Let's give her a little hug. Let's tell her we're going to take care of her and not expose her to bullies and mean people and bad things. And then the thing we were angry about that we thought was in the present, it might become much, much smaller, much, much lighter, and then we can address that skillfully. So in the Hinayana, in the narrow or very refined, very finely pointed vehicle, it's all about being aware of our anger and then joining prajna, that awareness of our anger, with upaya, the skillful means to hear what the anger's about and find a way to meet the associated need. With the Mahayana, we are applying the remedies. So the positive emotion that goes with anger, that goes with the liver, is kindness. Even the anger itself needs to get treated with compassion. So we can get into what Trungpa Rinpoche calls negative negativity. First of all, I get angry. But I'm a grown up and I've been practicing spirituality for all these years and I'm still angry and I'm so angry at myself for being so angry and I'm so angry at myself for being so angry at myself for being so angry. And we have negative negativity. Actually, Trungpa Rinpoche said the only thing to do with negative negativity is to smash it. Bah! Bah! Smash it. That's the getting angry at ourselves for being angry. Let's just deal with the simplicity of the anger. Hello, friend. Treat the anger with compassion. Apply the remedy. And sometimes we can also apply some nice mind training slogans. One that I personally like very well is called drive all blame into the one. I've loved working with this mind training slogan. Drive all blame into the one means sentient beings are not the cause of our misery. Self-clinging, clinging to the idea that I truly exist, that is the only cause of misery. So once I have someone going round and round in my head and I'm obsessing about them, about how badly they've treated me, about how terribly disrespectful they are, about what a horrible bully they are, about how they always ignore me, about this and this and this, and it's going round and around and around, that's the time to drive all blame into the one. And that means grateful. I'm so grateful for this fellow sentient being who has given me an opportunity to practice patience, who has given me an opportunity to practice compassion. Because the main function, get this, the main function of fellow sentient beings is to give us trouble. That is their main purpose in our lives, to give us trouble so that we have the opportunity to develop patience, to develop compassion, to develop equanimity. We can't develop these all-important qualities unless somebody gives us trouble. It's told about Guru Rinpoche that he was setting off for Tibet, and he had been told that the Tibetan people were extremely polite, courteous, and considerate, and very special, and very wonderful people. Padmasambhava, Guru Rinpoche. So he thought, oh dear, this is going to be a problem. I better bring my tea boy. So he's in India, and he has a tea boy, and the tea boy is very, very annoying. He spills the tea. He's impertinent. He's very, very irritating. So Padmasambhava, anxious, worried, or concerned about going to a country where everyone is kind and considerate, makes sure to bring his tea boy with him. The other side of the story is that he's apparently, when he got to Tibet, he says, I didn't need to bother. But we all need a tea boy. Love your tea boy. Any sentient being can be your tea boy. The function of sentient beings is to provide us the opportunity to develop patience, equanimity, compassion by causing us problems. The function of fellow sentient beings for us is to help us get free from self-clinging So that's how I personally, down the years, have delved into that particular mind training slogan and found that tremendously helpful in working with anger. As we get to the level of Vajrayana, the diamond vehicle, it becomes very, very interesting. So don't try to start with Vajrayana. Start with awareness, then go on to the Mahayana and the mind training slogans and applying the remedies. And as you get more comfortable with your anger, as you get more comfortable working with your anger, now what we're going to do is practice intensifying the anger. This is especially easy to do if we have a partner in this work. If we're living with someone who is going to support us in the Vajrayana of working with anger and we support them. So then when you get angry, they'll say, "Are you angry?" And you say, "Yes, I'm angry. Are you really angry?" "Yes, I'm really angry. I'm really angry." You intensify the anger. You magnify the anger until you're totally seeing all this anger. Bam! You slice it with your intense awareness. It's taught that one way you can simply slice that anger with intense awareness is through the use of the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Slice that anger with intense awareness and step into spacious emptiness beyond the kleshas. It is absolutely fantastic. And women and other people who have ovaries, all of us who have the tendency to go through a menopause. This is the most fantastic practice that we have a chance to do during our menopause, because one of the things that happens during menopause is that we get angry. As I like to say, during my menopause, I cried for 3 months. I was angry for 6 months, and I've never been angry since. Because I had a good partner to work with my anger during menopause time. And I practiced at all these 3 levels, but especially at the Vajrayana, the Tantriana level, doing that practice. I remember standing in the kitchen at a Landi ashram and Sadananda saying, "Are you angry?" And me saying, "Yes, I'm really angry." Slice the anger with intense awareness and walk into inconceivable spaciousness. Remember, you can't start there. Start with simply sitting with the anger, noticing the anger. Often, if you try to sit with the anger, you'll find there's no anger to sit with, because nothing is real and nothing lasts forever. Be careful of indignation. These powerful emotions are things we sustain to give us the illusion that we're truly existent, but we're not. Remember to see, smell, touch, taste the anger. Digest the anger. The anger, if we allow it to flower, it will simply spontaneously self-liberate. Remember, getting angry at is never a good idea. Having said this, sometimes we have to pretend to get angry at someone. I got this teaching personally from Lingtro Rinpoche, who had suffered torture for 10 years in a Chinese prison and was completely devoid of any anger or resentment about that experience. And he said to me, when I stood up in front of 200 people and said, Rinpoche, I still experience anger. And I was so innocent at the time. I probably thought that all the rest of those 200 people had overcome anger and I was the only one who hadn't. And Lingtro Rinpoche said, but you're a mother. You're a ma. You have to scold the children. Just know in your own heart you are not being seized by the klesha of anger. And then if you need to scold the children, scold the children. That's a pretty interesting. Sometimes the best thing that calms someone down is to be told very firmly what doesn't work, what needs to be different. That's not NBC, but it's skillful means as taught to me by Lingtro Rinpoche. If you're a parent, if you're working with a colleague who's shirking or whatever it is, if it's your parent going over your boundaries, sometimes you need to tell them. Make sure you do not speak in anger. That's really important. Do not speak in anger. Know that in yourself you feel calm and you are ready skillfully to set that boundary. At the Mahayana level, applying the remedy of kindness, the remedy of compassion, being kind to yourself, transmuting anger into compassion, working with the wonderful mind training slogan, drive all blame into the one, learn to be grateful for the opportunity others offer us of cultivating patience. And at the level of Tantra, remember to go through the other steps first. Don't jump straight to the Tantra level, increasing the anger and slicing it with awareness. Women and other people who have ovaries and go through menopause, menopause is your topmost time to work with anger and become free from anger. If you want to learn more about menopause, I have a wonderful course, Ayurveda for Menopause. Check it out. All right. So I hope this helps with working with anger, because in order to have a healthy liver, in order to have a healthy heart, in order to have a healthy gallbladder, in order to have a healthy pericardium, we need to be able to work with our anger, work with our resentment. And ultimately, anger doesn't stay with us for all of our life. The process of time plus practice will bring us to a point where anger no longer takes us over. Okay, hope this was helpful. Namaste.
Thank you for tuning in to Ayurveda and Spirituality with Alakananda Ma. We hope today's exploration has ignited a spark of curiosity and insight within you. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a 5-star review and share it with a friend. For more enlightening discussions and practical wisdom on Ayurveda and spirituality, subscribe and join our Facebook group, Alundi Ayurveda. To allow us to continue sharing valuable content, consider donating to Alundi Ashram. The links will be in the show notes. Until next time, may you walk the path of Ayurveda with grace and embrace the light of spiritual wisdom in your journey.
Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardanam urvarukamiva bandhanam mrityormukshiyam